Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Kape Mazulu and I'm a Zambian registered nurse midwife currently working in the UK. If you're new to this channel, a very big welcome to you. Don't forget to subscribe, like and share. And if you're already subscribed, thank you, and don't forget to continue sharing and liking my videos. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the IELTs. Yes, the long-awaited IELTs. I've had a couple of questions from people asking me about the IELTs. I've received questions like how do I book for the IELTs? Which IELTs should I book for? How do I make payment? How do I prepare for the IELTs? Because I would like to pass on my first attempt. So I have received a lot of questions and I decided to make a video about the IELTs because I feel making a video about it will help me explain better, and you'll be able to understand the context in which I'll be explaining everything. It's better than in a typed message. So bear in mind, by the way, that I'll be explaining based on my very own experience. So the things I might make mention might not work for you, or they might work for you. So, well, I just have to put it out there anyway, just in case it helps. And I'll try to be as informative as I can. Yeah. Although some things I won't be able to really explain, but I will make referrals. I will make some referrals so that you can get better equipped and better explanations on how to prepare, especially. Yeah. So I'll start by saying this is the 6th time I am recording this video. 6th time. And hopefully this video follows through up to the very end, because I don't know what's happening with my phone, because of course I use my phone to record. Like every time I'm recording, it stops recording and then the video just disappears. I don't know how that's happening. Like I literally can't find the video on my phone. And it's really pissed me off, and I'm like, if this attempt to make another video, which is the 6th by the way, fails as well, then I am not going to make this video. So if this video comes up, then my 6th attempt was successful, and I hope I'll still be as bubbly, because it has really pissed me off. It has been drained me because I've been shooting, recording. Yeah? Up to number 6, sure. Ah, wait. It's not nice. It's not nice at all. Okay, so IELTS stands for International English Language Testing System. So this is basically an exam that is taken by people planning on migrating, working and schooling in the UK and are coming from countries that are not indigenous English speaking countries. So when it comes to booking for the IELTs, I personally booked through the British Council website. You know, with COVID and whatnot, we were not allowed to visit certain offices, and one of them was the British Council. Even just going there, like, you won't be allowed inside. I remember one time I did go there and I wasn't allowed in. I was told to use the website. So I booked online. Yeah, I went to the British Council website. Sorry, I seem a little bit distracted. I'm just extremely tired of filming and recording and saying the same things over and over again. And I keep on getting messages. Yeah. Anyway, so I booked for my IELTs on the British Council website, and then I also made payment through the British Council website, where I was only required to submit my ID, of which I submitted my passport. And after that, of course, I just started preparing for the IELTs. So which IELTs should one book for? Well, you can book for the IELTs academic, the ones which are £170. You don't necessarily have to book for the IELTS UKVI. You are allowed to book for IELTS academic, which will be used to apply for a job as well as apply for a visa. A lot of people have been having confusion over this, and I understand, because back in the day only the IELTS UKVI were allowed, but now the academic IELTS are also allowed, so you can book for those. And trust me, I think they are much more easier from my research. The IELTS academic are much more easier than the IELTS UKVI. So there you have it, IELTS academics it is. So when you are booking for the IELTS, you'll be given an opportunity to choose when you would like to do your speaking, because the speaking is not necessarily separate, but sort of separate from the other three parts. So the IELTS comes in 4 parts. That's the listening, writing, reading, and speaking part. So you will sit for the listening, reading, and writing at once. Like, you go into the exam room and you will not leave until you're done with those 3. Of course, you'll be given time in between the parts, but that time that you're given is just time for them to collect your answer sheets and the question sheets, and then also distribute the sheets for the next part. Yeah. And then for the speaking, you can either book it for the day before or the day after, or on the same day. Like for me, what I did, I really wanted to get rid of the IELTS. I didn't want to have to be anxious and still thinking about exams after doing one part of it. So I booked for my speaking and the other parts on the same day. So I sat for my listening, reading, and writing in the morning, and then I had my speaking exam later in the afternoon, which I found much more convenient for me. But if it's not for you, you can book a day before or a day after. It really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you still get your results. Yeah. When it comes to what to carry when going for your exam, you need not to worry about that, because a few days before your exam, they will send you an email giving you instructions on what to carry, as well as directions to the venue of the exam. Usually the IELTS are held at Mulungushi International Conference Center, and in case you don't know where that is, the email will give you the directions, and there'll also be a map. You can just click on it, take you to Google Maps, and then you'll be able to find your way there. So you need not to worry about those things. They will definitely send you an email. All right, so let's talk about the IELTS themselves. So we're talking about IELTS academic. We're not talking about IELTS UKVI. For those that are sitting for the IELTS UKVI, you chose to book for those. Well, I don't know. I don't have much information about them. I only know about IELTS academic. So that's what we're talking about right now. So when you sit for the IELTS, you're expected to achieve a certain band score, which is 7 and above. That should be your overall band score from all the 4 parts of the exam. So when it comes to the listening, reading, and speaking, you're expected to achieve a band score of 7 or above in each of them. And then for the writing, you're expected to get a 6.5 or above. So if you get like a 6.5 in reading or listening or speaking, it calls for a receipt. Or if you want, you can pay for a remark, but well, remark is a gamble. Remember, you're paying for the remark, so they might remark you, and then it's either your band score goes even lower than it was before, or if you're lucky enough, it goes up. So it really depends on what you want to do at the end of the day. So just make sure you aim for that band 7 in the 3. That's the listening, reading, and speaking. And then aim for a 6.5 in the writing and above. And then your overall band score should be a 7. It should be a 7. Okay, so now with that being said, let's talk about preparation. So what did I do to prepare for the IELTS exam, so much so that I passed on my first attempt? Well, firstly, I gave myself like a little test run where I attempted each part of the exam. So this was just me trying to figure out where I had my weaknesses so that I could work on them. So I went on YouTube and I started looking for some like practice sessions for the same exams. So like I went for listening sessions, which I practiced. No, I tested myself first and I got a score. And then I did the reading, I did the writing, and the speaking. Well, when it comes to speaking, it's really hard for you to practice and then score yourself because you don't know if what you're saying is okay or not. So anyway, I still practiced even my speaking. So that's what I did. And I realized I was really good when it came to speaking and listening. I didn't have trouble with those two. However, I had trouble with the writing and the reading. So I focused more on the reading and writing. Now, I am not saying I dropped my listening practice sessions as well as my speaking. I was doing them, but I wasn't doing them as much as I was doing my reading and writing. Yeah? Okay. So I went on YouTube and I started looking for some channels that I could use to prepare myself for the IELTs. And I came across this channel, E2 IELTS, and it was the best channel I came across. And I mostly watched the lessons by Jay. There's a teacher there named Jay, and his lessons were just top notch. They were good. Like the practice sessions, you feel like you're actually in class and you're having those practice sessions, and they were so good. So I recommend E2 IELTs. Just go to YouTube, search for E2 IELTs, and get cramming. Get cramming. Cram. It's an exam. Anyway, so yeah, that's what I did. And so just to go on part by part on how I went about the preparation. So for my listening preparation, I searched for listening sessions, and there are plenty, like there are a lot. So listening, you're actually played an audio through headphones, and then it will be like a conversation between two people, and part of it will also be like someone reading out a passage or something like that. Now keep in mind, these people have got an English accent, so you really have to pay attention, because with the audio, it's only played once, it's not repeated. So you have to be on your toes. You are listening and answering the questions. If you miss the answer, that's it, because no one is going to play back the audio for you. So even when practicing, you have to use the very principle that they use during the exam. When you are practicing, don't play back the audios just because you missed the answer or you didn't hear it clearly. Don't play it back, just leave it blank and move on to the next question. Listen for the answer, pay attention. So when you're practicing, do not play back the audios. You will only be cheating yourself. You won't be cheating anyone else but yourself. So practice in such a way that you mimic the actual exam. Yeah? So don't play back the audios. Pay attention. Pay attention. Pay attention. And then the other thing is, I started watching a lot of BBC because I wanted to get used to that English accent. So I was watching a lot of BBC, and I was also watching some British movies, although they are quite boring, but you gotta do what you gotta do just to pass the exam. So I did it and I passed it. So you can do the same. Yeah, I started watching a few British movies. It might sound silly, but it worked for me. I mean, I decided to do whatever I could just to pass that exam. I didn't want to repeat it. Yeah, so that's for the listening. So just practice, go through practice sessions, time yourself, time yourself and don't play back the audios. And then after that, you mark yourself, because there's always a marking key at the end of the practice sessions. So mark yourself and see how much you achieve. Okay, we good? We good on that? All right, so let's move on to the next part, the reading part. So when it came to the reading part, I realized something. Even as I used to practice, I realized something. So the questions are arranged in such a way that you will find, for example, the answer to question 1 in the first or the second paragraph. You will not find the answer to question 1 in the last paragraph. Neither will you find like the last question's answer in the first paragraph, if you know what I mean. So personally, I did not read through the passage before I could attempt the questions. I started by just reading the first question, going to the first paragraph, and starting to look for the answer in the first paragraph. If I didn't find the answer in the first paragraph, I would go to the second paragraph, and definitely the answer would be in either one of those 2 paragraphs for the first question. And then I went on like that. Like my second question, I'll either check the second or the third paragraph. My third question, I'll check the third and the fourth paragraph. So that's what I did. And that's something that I discovered. They will not put the answer to question 3 in paragraph 1. So you can choose to do that as well. Or you can go by the old way of doing things like we used to do in comprehension back in school, where you first read the paragraph and then start answering the questions. Other people even read questions, then read paragraph, then now start answering questions. Well, you only have 45 minutes during the IELTS exam. Personally, I see that as a sheer waste of time. But if it works for you, by all means, don't come and say, Kapema on YouTube said just start by answering the questions without reading the paragraph. Please read the paragraph if it helps you. And those paragraphs are they just talk about anything. It can be anything. The paragraph I found, the passage I found in my exam was very boring. It's just that it was an exam. Otherwise, I would have slept. It was very boring. It was talking about boats, materials used to make the boats, who discovered what in what year. I mean, are we going back to history and history about boats? So by all means, do what works for you, but trust me, you can always just read the question and then go and look for the answer quickly. Instead of reading the whole passage, you waste time reading it up to the very last paragraph of the passage. Then now you go back, read your question, and then start again from paragraph 1 looking for the answer, So that's one of the tricks I used. And just make sure you practice as well. Practice your reading and time yourself, and make sure that when you time yourself, when it's time up, stop when it's time up. Those bad manners that we have where it's time up and you want to just write that last S or that, stop. The examiners are like this. They're everywhere. They're like cockroaches. They will catch you. They'll catch you. So just time yourself. Gain some speed as you practice, so that during the exam you don't have to worry about time finishing on you before you can finish answering the questions. Okay, so that's the reading part. And writing. Do you remember composition back in school? Were you one of those people that used to run away from composition? Now you have found it again. This time it's even worse than in high school. Oh my goodness. So when it comes to writing, they usually just give you a statement, and then they'll ask a question at the end of the statement, and then now it's basically your opinion. You're giving your opinion towards that statement, and it could be to what extent you agree, or whether you agree or disagree. And keep in mind that they are not examining you based on your knowledge on the subject. They're examining to see how well you will use linking words, making a distinction between an introduction, a main body, and a summary, you know, like the conclusion. So don't worry about the opinion that you're going to give during the writing. You just give your opinion. It doesn't really matter what that opinion is. Just give it. Just make sure when you're giving it, you're very clear about it. You have used linking words. Now, when I say linking words, I mean words like therefore, or however, or in as much as, vizungu. So those are the things that they'll be looking for in your writing. And when it comes to your introduction, you are introducing the topic as well as giving your standing opinion, you know. So you introduce that topic. So the topic is based on the statement that you've been given. So you introduce that, and then you also give your opinion, like, and I agree because of this and this. You get, but don't go into details. Just give that statement, and then I agree or I disagree, or to this extent I agree to what, or whatever. Just introduce a statement and state your opinion, where you stand towards the subject. And then when it comes to your main body, this is where you're going to explain why your opinion, why that opinion. So you just give your own reasons, you know, you just cook up some reasons. You really have to be creative when it comes to writing. So creativity has a play in this. Writing and speaking, you have to be creative. If you're not a creative person, start becoming creative now. So you really have to be creative in your writing. So you just, in the main body, you're going to give your reasons as to why you stand in that opinion that you've given in your introduction. And then in your conclusion, of course, you're just going to summarize your statement in your introduction and your reasons in your main body. And that's it. Okay? Yeah. You'll get much more better explanations from the IELTS YouTube channel that I have recommended. The tips are very well explained, better explained than me, because I mean, I am just me. I am a nurse. I am not a teacher. I do not have a background of speaking English or whatever. I just learned like anyone else. So can do the same. Also, sorry, when practicing writing, time yourself. And then you're given an amount of words that you should write. So for example, if you're told to write in 250 words, make sure you write in 250 words or slightly more than that. Don't write 249 words. The examiners that are strict, they will fail you for that. So make sure it's 200, even if it's 250 on the dot, make it 250 on the dot. That's why it's important to use linking words. Those really push the number of words you're using. So yeah, make sure you write 250 words, or at least above. You can write 260. Don't go writing 400 words. No one wants to read all that crap when they've told you to do 250. Go write 400. So follow those instructions and time yourself each time you're practicing, so that when you're going that exam, you'll just be cruising with your creativity, you know, your creative writing. Remember your composition. When it comes to speaking, the day English left my mouth. Hey. Have I heard of English leaving your mouth? Today was that day that English left my mouth. It's just basically having a conversation. It's a one-on-one conversation with the examiner. So they will ask you a bunch of questions. They might ask you like, give an account of your best childhood memory, or tell me about yourself. You can talk about where you come from, you know, tell us about your home, tell us about the house that you lived in, what's one of the best memories you remember in that house. Like, they can just ask you any random question. And even during speaking, you really need to be creative, and not everything you say is supposed to be true anyway. It's not like it's a polygraph test or anything. They just want to see if you'll be able to hold a conversation with someone, you know, and be able to do so articulately, and you know. So now when it comes to practicing for the speaking, it's a little bit tricky, because you know, like, it's different from the writing, the listening, and the reading, because for those you have a sort of marking key or a guide. When it comes to speaking, nobody really tells you that this is marking key for what you were being asked. You know what I mean? But what I used to do was, I remember when I was preparing for my IELTs, it was during a time when I was working Monday to Saturday from morning till evening. There were days when I would get home like at 9 p.m. and I'll just be exhausted. You know, you wouldn't even want to touch a book or go through anything. So what I used to do, when it came to practicing my speaking, I would tell my friend at work to just ask me any random questions, and then I would be answering. That made me improve on my speaking. So like, she'll be asking me questions, and then I'll just be giving accounts, maybe just telling stories, you know, based on the questions that she asks me. And it really helped. So you can do that. Like, you can just ask someone to just ask you random questions about yourself or about anything, and then you just answer them, and then just construct your sentences very well. That way your speaking will be improved. Hey guys, so you might be wondering why there's a switch up in the content. I'm here seated trying to edit the video on the IELTS, and then I just realized I left out some information. Well, it's not that much, but maybe it could help. Firstly, there are people that have been asking about lessons. I didn't do much research on the lessons, because trust me, I wasn't going to waste any money paying someone just to teach me IELTs. I was working on a tight budget, and I was not going to spend that much money when YouTube was there to help. But if you feel you need someone to teach you, like you need actual classes, well, by all means. I wish I could recommend some centers, but I don't know any. Though every time that I passed through Great East Road, just opposite Marshlands, there was an ad. I don't know if it's still there now, but there was an ad for IELTS. And then also by, is it Kablonga Boys? Just outside there on the wall, there's an ad for IELTs. So maybe if you get a chance to pass through those two places, you could get the numbers, and then you can try to find out. Yeah, but otherwise, guys, just, I mean, paying for IELTs. No. Paying for IELTs lessons. Just do YouTube and do groups. And then the other thing is on the writing. So the writing section has got two parts. Yeah, it's got the first task, where you're required to describe either a graph or describe a map. Yeah, so they can bring you any type of graph. It could be a bar graph or like a pie chart and that sort of stuff. So they'll just ask you to describe those. And then the second part is where now you have to write like a passage based on your opinion and the statement given. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to add on. So back to my editing. Those are the tips that I have for preparation of IELTS. There will be more tips on the YouTube channel that I have recommended. And then the other YouTube channel you could also use is IELTS by Jackie. I won't say what I wanted to say about the channel, but it also helped me, especially when it came to the writing. IELTS by Jackie writing is very well explained. Just stay interested. That's all I can say. just try to stay interested. Otherwise, yeah. So E2 IELTS and IELTS by Jackie. Those are the two YouTube channels that I used, and they saw me through the exam. And yeah, so once I sat for my IELTS exam, I waited for my results, which I can tell you was so nerve-wracking. I think that morning, the morning of the results, I was on my nights off. And when I say I was anxious, I mean I was anxious. I don't know how many trips to the toilet I made. Yes, TMI, but just have to put it out there. I had a running stomach. And I kept on checking my emails, but then I wasn't seeing anything. You know, like I fell asleep and then I woke up like at, what time was that? I think it was 14. And then I looked at my phone. I noticed I had an email in. It took me time to open that email. In fact, I had to go to the toilet first, sit on the toilet, and then open the email. And then the email just said, your results are ready. You can log on to. I'm like, what? Can't you just say I have passed or I have failed? My anxiety increased. Then I logged on to the website and opened my results. And yes, I had passed with a band of 7.5. And I was very happy. I screamed. I think the neighbors even heard. Because I was very scared. You know the way people talk about the IELTS sometimes. It's like, but it's doable, guys. It's not something bad. It's doable. And then for those that don't want to sit for the IELTS, I can make mention that there's always the other exam, which is the OET. It's the Occupational English Test. Yeah, I think. Occupational English Test. People say it's much more easier than the IELTS. But it's much more costly because I think it's around £350. It's not offered in Zambia, by the way, but a test center was recently opened in Zimbabwe, so you can just go next door, Zimbabwe, and get that done. Or you can go to South Africa. There's also a test center there. You go and sit for your OET. I don't have much information about that. All I know is once you do your OET, you don't have to do your IELTS for anything. I've had people ask me, no, if I do my OET, do I still have to do the IELTS? No, you don't have to do the IELTS. Your OET are more than enough. Yeah. So, yeah, that's it. I hope I've been a help. In case there's something that I've missed out, something that I haven't touched concerning the IELTS, you can always ask me. At least I've talked about the general things, but you can always ask me. You can comment down below or reach me on my other social media platforms. And don't forget to subscribe, share, and like. And for now, it's bye.